Well, we're super excited today to talk to the one and only Jonathan Miller. You guys know him as such an icon in our home staging world that we live in today. How are you, Jonathan?
I am wonderful. How about yourself?
Doing great, doing great. Well, tell everyone if they don't know who you are. Maybe we've got the realtors that are watching in, maybe some home stagers that have been possibly living under a rock. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I'm obviously a home stager located in the Richmond, Virginia area. See, I do public speaking. What don't I do? It's like I'm one of those people, I just keep going and going, and I've got energy for days, and I've got to channel it somewhere. So during times like this, when you're a shelter in place, I keep coming up with more and more new ideas, and definitely a visionary, because it's like I can have these ideas and then I just put it over here and somebody else can execute it. But, you know, it's what I'm doing, and I want to make sure everybody stays up and positive and optimistic during this time. Don't let things get you down. That's one of my biggest things. And any platform I'm on is be happy, stay happy, and just put things out that are good for the world.
Yeah, you're so right. And you and I, we are on the same wavelength. We're doing our B12s. We're doing our energy drinks. We're of course are texting all the time. We never stop, and I love that. I love that about you. You're definitely from I don't know where that starts. I mean, did you always have this in you, or is it learned? What do you think?
I kind of did. It was one day I sat down and I really thought about that, and I was like, okay, I remember being a teenager and I would go and go and go and go until then there would just be one day I would crash and I would sleep like 12 hours that day. And it was like my body refueling as I was growing. And then I just never lost that. I had this drive to work because I saw, I didn't come from a really rich household. We were kind of like a little lower end there in that. And I saw what happened when you did work. And I saw from the side of things that, we had family members who didn't work, and then they would complain about not having this, that, or the other. And I was like, okay, well, these people are out here working constantly and they're making money and they're having success. So I'm going to be one of those people. And so I just pushed myself, and I would push. If I couldn't do it, I do have a little bit of a competitive streak in me. So if I can't do something, I push myself harder to succeed at doing it.
Yeah, I love that. I love it about you. And I asked myself the same question. Was it something that I saw traits that other people had that were part of my life where they were just making things happen and they maybe came against some type of, situation where they had to literally go around, they had to find another way, they had to think outside the box. And we've talked about this before. We were, the Biltmore, when we were at the Biltmore last year, and we were having a mastermind, and we actually talked about legacy, people that were leaving legacy in our life and who we could point back to of who we are today and why we're that way, whether the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And my father, for sure, I mean, he did not come from education, poor, we were very, I would say, lower to middle class growing up. And then he had an opportunity to literally buy out a small business that was in another part of my family. And he took that to multi-million dollars. He literally, blood, sweat, and tears. He was not the person in the office behind the desk. He was out getting it done, meeting people, creating relationships. And still to this day, in my hometown of 30,000 people, he can't walk into a restaurant and someone not know him and want to come up and shake his hand, and just not because of what he created, but who he is. And I think we see people in our lives that either were maybe not the great example, and then we saw somebody on another side. For me, same thing, saw both. And that was just, my dad didn't have anyone in his life that he saw that he became the creator and became that mentor to me. So, and now we get to be that for each other, right? Like iron sharpens iron. We get to rock and roll. Who would you say are some of the leaders in your life right now?
Well, I'm talking to one of them
Oh,
because, and not just because I'm talking to you, but it's like there are days right now where even I'm down and I'm out and I'm stressed over, are we going to get these loans? Is this going to happen this way? Are we going to be able to keep our staff on? And it makes it really hard. And it's really crazy because, I'll have yourself, Lori Graham, Barbara Helsonic, Birgit, and I talk all the time. Lucy, it's like, having these support systems around you is really important, because even when you're having a bad day and no one knows when you're having a bad day, somehow the world, the universe has someone pop up that says something positive, or that gives some encouragement, or puts an idea in your head that just gives you that extra little oomph to keep going. Whether it's just, and that's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with,
yeah.
is those people who really inspire you constantly. It's, seeing what they've built and to keep going from that. And I think that's just really important right now, especially
Well,
times where, we could
we
just
don't know what tomorrow looks like, right? Well, and for you knowing too, I think one thing, because obviously you're one of my inspirations, and knowing that none of us are perfect. We all need each other, and we do. I guess you could say sharpen each other, because when one's doing something now, where it inspires us, and then that person is now inspiring the next person that's watching, and so that's really what it's about. Is we are obligated as leaders to keep it going, the right mindset. Our core value words this week for our Model My Home staging business, as well as Model My Home, it's integrity. And for HSRA, it's energy. And we were talking about just integrity and how we stay energized, and we're doing the right thing no matter who's looking, and we're keeping that energy. That helps with your mindset, right? As people are watching and they're engaging with you, you become the inspiration for other people. So I love that. I love that you continue to work. What are you guys doing? I mean, maybe tell me a little bit about the situation of J Squared, and what today looks like, and how you guys have had to kind of pivot into what your workload is and your reach outs and all that good stuff.
Well, we started the year off so strong. I mean, we were beyond busier than usual. We were doing all these new properties. And, we were doing phenomenal. And then all of a sudden this hits. And it hits right after I order $14,000 worth of new furniture, because we started running out of sofas. And it was only like the second week of February. Now, anybody who stages luxury properties knows you can put 3 houses in one there. So we had started to run out, and I was like, what is this happening? So I placed my orders, and then all of a sudden, New Jersey's on a shelter in place. And it's like I start watching these cities. This is happening, and I'm like, this is getting closer. This is getting closer. And then so just as soon as this furniture rolls in, we're not on a shelter in place yet at this point, but at the same time, I start seeing these cases get worse. I'm watching the community and the people on my way in each day. No one's paying attention, and no one is actually following these rules, and things are continuing to spread. So I sat down and I thought really hard about it, and I talked to my team, and I was like, okay, this is getting scarier, and what should we do to do our part in this? Because in the home staging industry, especially, we're in and out of people's houses every day, be it occupied or vacant. Vacants and new constructions are a little bit worse, because we really don't know who's been in and out of there, what time they've been in and out. We all know different painters, different contractors who tell an agent or their client that the job's done or it will be done on this day. It's not done until a week later, but the person's not checking up on them. So they don't know it's not done. So then they're saying, oh yeah, nobody's been in there for weeks. And we were going in and still finding people there, and you didn't know what had been touched and that sort of thing. So we'd already talked about closing. I'd done a newsletter. I'd written everything out. It was ready to go. I was holding back because as a business owner in my mind, I'm like, we need to do all of the jobs that are contracted. We need to rake in the money just in case we do end up getting shut down. We went to a house, and when we got there, the homeowner had asked that we text 30 minutes before, which was odd, but it's in a pristine neighborhood. So I just discounted that. When John and the team arrived, they found the family sitting there in lawn chairs in the living room because we forgot to text. They had not fully vacated the house the way they were supposed to. The agent had not checked in on them because she's sheltering in place at home herself. Now, again, we still don't have the order at this point to shelter in place, but this kid had cancer that lived there. When we got to the house, he's got a face mask on, but when the team, they did go ahead and hurry up and vacate, but they had clearly not cleaned. Nothing was done. Pearl goes upstairs to one of the bathrooms, and there are diabetic needles and things like that from this kid having chemo treatment in the bathroom. We were like, no, this can't go on. And so when I made the decision that day that I was going to do our part and shut us down for 2 weeks. Because after I called the agent's first words were, oh, well, that kid's been tested for corona. You guys are safe. And I'm like, it's not about us being safe at that point. We had each gotten takeout from 3 different places that day. So any one of us could have had that on a cup, anything like that, and it would have been brought into the house. And one of us could have killed this kid who has no immune system. And that's right then I was like, okay, you know what? we're going to do our part, and we're going to close down for 2 weeks to try and help with this. Because if even with the 6 of us not going in and out of houses, not touching things, we're not going to risk contaminating each other. And, it made it a little harder because you still are contracted to do certain things. And you have to choose at that point to cancel that and refund them, or to go ahead and do it. Fortunately, I gotten us to the point where we only had one that was still contracted, and it's a waterfront that's so far out in the middle of nowhere that I think if you saw someone, you'd be excited to see them if they had coronavirus, because there's nothing there. But with the rest, it was hard. We shut down. But then you still have closings, because our city is one that we were eventually put on a shelter in place, but we're deemed essential. Real estate's still deemed essential here because our governor, he's a former doctor, and so he's like, no. I teased you the other day about your scars, because he was one of the first who stopped wearing ties, because he was like, ties hold germs. And I was like, oh, I never knew about that. And he was like, yeah, his cabinet was actually getting crucified for not wearing ties on TV. And then he popped up and he was like, as a medical professional, if you wear a tie, you're risking having germs held at your throat area, which isn't smart. And it was like, oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Lysol those, right?
exactly. It's like, oh no. And he's like, well, because a lot of times when we have ties, and I know I do this, it's like you're constantly touching your tie to tighten it. And so then you're touching your face at the same time, like I just did. Now I need to sanitize. But and it's so accidental. It's just one of those things that cuts it out. But so then we decided what we were going to do, since we still had to do breakdowns. Breakdowns are still mandatory. Closings are still happening. We have to pick up our inventory. So I created a whole new process of transfers. And I came up with a very strict set of guidelines. And if anybody wants them, they can email me. I have no problem sharing it with you, that we will not go into a house if anybody's there. We sanitize it ourselves 24 hours before pickup. If we are there and anyone comes while we're there besides our team, we leave and they get charged $1,000 rescheduling fee. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it's like, I've done it in a contract format they have to sign, because it's just one of those. I mean, we all know with agents, they're like, oh, go ahead, you go on. It's just a staging company. They won't mind. You can go ahead. They won't know. And then you're just supposed to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's like, I'm not going to risk that. And I mean, there are some stagers still like, I'm going to rake in the money. And I'm like, is it worth that $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to risk putting yourself, your spouse, your kids just risking killing them accidentally because you pick it up from someone? You may be asymptomatic. It's just not smart. So we decided to do that and then see where the world was after that 2 weeks. Today is the day we're supposed to start back. So we've got to sit down and make the decision today how we're going to start back and if we're going to go back full force. And so far, what I think I've actually already decided is that we'll take in certain clients, but we're not taking in any new clients. It has to be established clients.
And they have to follow your processes, your policies, all that good stuff.
And that's not going to break anybody new in.
Yeah.
And just on a side note, like, I know a lot of people are worried they will lose clients if they close down for 2 weeks. We didn't. We actually gained 12 new ones who have already pre-booked things out later in the year because of the newsletter I sent out. They said that it was so responsible that they had not used us before, but they wanted to use us now. So when we talk about during success seminars, things like that, about attracting the clients that you want to work with,
right?
These are the clients I want to work with. I want to work with responsible clients. I want to work with these people because this is telling me something about that agent right then. That they are going to be actually somebody who's on top of making sure things are done anytime we come to stage, because they're seeing responsibility and character in my company. I'm also seeing that with them because they're taking time to write us and say, hey, this is a great job. You're doing your part for the world. So I think, and we didn't have any negative response at all. I mean, even the agents who are normally just insanely crazy about staging things and getting them done have said they want a mandatory lockdown and shutdown of the real estate business so the world can get better.
Yeah.
And
you're right. I mean, because whenever, if you look at New York and then Jersey and everything, and you guys are right up there, it's like and as it filters through, you guys being able to say, look, here's what we need to do to protect, because this is coming, it's getting closer to home. So and for you to make that decision so early to go, okay, these 2 weeks are going to be pivotal within the growth of this. So let's go ahead. I mean, I know that people may be not watching this live. You may watch this later on, several weeks later. And as we're watching, I go to worldometers.com. They are right. They're pulling all of the latest and greatest, from WHO and everything. They're pulling it, and you can look at the stats and know, okay, well, we saw yesterday for the first day that we actually had the percentage of death rates dropped. So it's like, okay, we know the curve. We want to flatten the curve. We know that they're saying, the reality that between 50 and 70% of people, maybe more like 60. And now they're saying, hey, um, back in December, we could have had some of those cough, could have been this. Like, they're just trying to figure all this out. But to be responsible and know, okay, this is getting very, very close to home. Let's make the decisions. Let's write it out. Let's see. And now, because we're all going to be slowly starting back up, maybe doing a little bit more, setting the policies in place, communicating that externally and internally, huge.
We've all said how hard it is to get these agents or people to follow the rules that we put out by having these houses ready and things like that. And I think this is actually the perfect time to train people on that, because you can actually, if you really kind of drop the hammer and enforce your rules that you normally have in your contract anyway, people are going to adjust. You're training them now to be able to actually have everything done in the future. And one thing that popped in my head, it was like, the agents will pop in to see how we're doing that day, if we're done yet, how far along we are. They never do that with the painters and the contractors, and that's how they end up still there. So it's like, okay, what makes us special at that point? But it teaches them, yeah, they're not allowed to be on site when we're there either, and it just gets that training part going to where you can run a better business once you do start picking back up.
Yeah,
And
hopefully it sets the precedence, right?
exactly. And one thing we have to think about too is, I mean, obviously neither one of us are medical professionals here, disclaimer, but they were saying that we could see this return as in November, or not November, but in the fall, when, the flu season starts, that this could actually make a comeback. So it's like, okay, we're about to head into spring and summer and warmer temperatures where we can kill this thing. But if we're still not following rules and guidelines, and cities are still having to be shut down during the warm months, and then it does come back in the fall and winter months, those can be long winters. And we could actually, a lot of us are slower than anyway, and it could shut us out completely then if we don't buckle down and actually do our part to take care of it now.
Well, you're so right. And thinking about our online services, thinking about how we need to pivot in our businesses now to make sure that, we don't have all of our eggs in one basket. And that is like the way that we did business, we say BC, before Corona, right? The way that we did business back then may not be the best. Like, what can we take from the good of that, and how can we pivot to say, if this were to happen again, or there was a new strand, how do I become essential, and can I have some online services that I can do at home if we were forced to close down again? What does that look like, right? I mean, what have you guys thought about that?
We have. It's this has actually really made me think about the times of where, and John said this to me. He was like, a lot of people think this is a vacation. And I'm like, okay, no, this is the time where you fix the processes that weren't working well when you were going at full speed, because right now is the perfect time to get things in order. If you want to launch something like Review My Listing to do online consultations, it's the ideal time to actually fine tune that process and get that going. We're in the works to finish doing that, because it was something we got so busy in the early winter, in January and February, we didn't get to finish launching it.
Right.
My store that I planned on opening, something in my gut told me to delay that opening whenever, it was happening. Obviously, it was the Corona thing. So I've decided I'll go ahead and get the online store open and running. So then that way, that's still a platform that can keep going if it gets to the point of where we do end up on a mandatory lockdown and we can't go out and we're not essential anymore. But that e-design services are some things that I've toyed with, because my background is interior design. It's not something that I really want to go back into doing, but if it keeps food on the table, then I can, go into doing it. And having those platforms already set up and ready to launch in case it gets to that point, the sooner you do it, the better. And in even getting that platform ready, even though I don't want to do it, it could be that we hire a designer in-house when we are going, And then it's something that's already done. It's something that I just hit the button and it's like, okay, this is live now, and here it is. It's already ready to go for you. And then you've got another revenue stream going, even when times are better. So,
It's so true. And I mean, the online CE classes, we're launching our HSRA trainer program where we have designations that you guys can teach literally not only in-house and on-site, but virtually. I mean, it's huge. Like, people will pay for training. They're looking for training opportunities. This, we've shared, we had almost 100 people do a CE class, sign up for our CE class last week. I mean, we would have never been able to fit them into a model home or even into our facility. So now is the opportunity. It is the time to really get that in place, because you're right, we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised that we will stay in business once everything is open just the way it was. I think this literally has pivoted not only our businesses, but our mindset. We've had to shift to say, longevity, right? Because the strong will survive.
well, and what have you put off? I mean, it's kind of like when in my feed this morning, our Biltmore trip popped up again. I was like, gosh, I posted a lot of photos of that trip. I really did enjoy it. But it made me think, I was like, what if I hadn't went on that?
Yeah.
How many things do we as business owners, we're like, I can't do that right now because of this and this and this. And then it's like, okay, so when we are started back and we can do things again, take those trips, seize that moment, because those are memories right now that are making me warm and fuzzy every time they pop up.
We wish we were there, right?
It's like you think about, oh, I wish I'd done this while I was there too. But it's something to look forward to again. And that's the biggest thing, is we've got to keep that momentum going of where we're still functioning, we're still being productive, even if it's in your pajamas, that you're getting things done each day.
Mm-hmm.
That are going to help you in your growth when you start back.
Well, you're so right. I mean, it's not about taking the attitude that we're on vacation. It's about today. What we do today is literally going to determine our tomorrow. And so for me, even though we've got some team that's in the office, our Model My Home team, our HSRA is virtual, our team here. And so I have set up my office. It's in the back of our home. I literally get up, same time, get my shower, get ready for work, come in, and I'm mentally prepared to make sure that I crush it today, right? This is not a day at my sofa with the TV on, freaking out that what's going on. It's a day that I can own it, and that's the thing. I mean, I feel like what we do in each minute is going to determine, and I'm mentally healthy. If people are talking about, mental health during this time, and we're not necessarily getting all the good stories and the good that's going on, we're getting just crushed by all of this negativity, and it can weigh us down if we don't see light at the end of the tunnel. We have to create our own light. We have to be that light for other people, right?
We have to set that example. And it's, it even if, I know I always preach about doing videos and doing that stuff, but even if you realize that even if you hate video, getting online and letting someone else see right now that you're out for a walk or that you're accomplishing something in your home or in your warehouse, it's important, because it needs to be that mental health thing that everybody has that little bit of extra motivation, because we've become a society where it's easy to travel. It's easy to go do what you want. But growing up, it was like, if you actually got to take a trip or a family vacation, it really was a big deal event, because it was planned sometimes a year, 2 years in advance, because you stayed home the rest of the time. And people's houses weren't as nice as they are now. And everybody's complaining about having to stay at home. And I'm like, oh, I get to actually be in my house for, a few days. This is great. But, vacations were meant so you could actually go live a different life for a little bit, stay somewhere nicer than where you live, and enjoy a different, aspect. And so it's like, okay, we need to be able to appreciate that a little bit more, that we have these homes, that we have these nice places to stay right now, instead of just getting frustrated that, we can't do anything with it. Like paint a room, do something to that house
Exactly.
we've not gotten to do. I mean, we all have checklists that we make that we want to accomplish, and it's, we never do. And
Right.
right now is the perfect time to do them. John's in the back finishing our arts holder, thanks to Ashley Fuentes OCD. And John's back. He's calling it stringing a piano, because he's like back there, worked so hard. I built it. And then, who would think that I'm handy enough to build things? But I am. But that doesn't normally make us money. So I don't spend the time back there building them. But right now I can, because we haven't let any employees in the warehouse in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We've had people work from home, or they've driven separately and met on site to do breakdowns. And, that was one of the other things was it was like, okay, well, how do we keep our environment safe?
Yeah.
I loved Christina Bell's cleaning procedures they're doing in their warehouse. That really, it popped up and it helped because as we're starting back, people will be coming back into the warehouse to work. And I wanted to make sure everything is a safe environment for them. And that's where, you don't want to have an employee get sick and it could be that it was a painter that touched something in that house and you don't know
Yeah.
where.
You're absolutely right. And we put our keys, our three, that was the thing too, like creating a notice on the front door that says, do not come in, while we're in this property. So on if you're an HSRA member, you see on our member site there with our group, our private group, we have those 3 different notices. It's for your door, it's for your internal team, the roles, responsibilities there, and also for your external, your clients, so that they know that they have prepped the property. But just in case they dropped a ball, our team's going, they're prepping. We determine a leader, they're hitting their key areas that we've established, and then the crew can come in. They're making sure they turn on all the lights, open all the interior doors that we will be in, and then no crews really touching anything except our things. And then once we leave, those same leaders are going back over those same areas and cleaning for our clients and for the people that will be coming in. So it's about responsibility, and we can share the information. We can hope that they do their part, but at the end of the day, our team is doing their part for them as well as for the next clients that will be coming in the property. So just making sure that communication is there, processes are there.
Pivoting. It's all about
Yeah,
pivoting. And you've
it
got to
is.
be able to just do that twist. Work it out. I think I'm actually going to throw a video challenge out there to everybody that's a member. Let's see your best pivot. Whether if you're walking in heels in your pajamas, let's see you pivot and show the world that we can actually do this together in the staging industry.
Yes, that's right. Because it's going to be the companies and the leadership and the teams that are good with pivoting, right? They see it's like the bell curve. So we've got to be in front of that curve to say, I see. Sometimes we're behind the Corona curve and figuring this out. But the more that we can do the changes now that get us ready for tomorrow's Corona, whatever that looks like and whatever name it has on it, that's going to be huge for us to continue to stay in business and be relevant, right?
Exactly. You've got to stay out there, especially doing your videos and things right now is the opportune time for you to get in front of agents you've never been in front of before, to show them you are a good, strong, responsible company that, if whether it's doing videos in your warehouse, to show them you have inventory. That, like right now, one of the reasons we're building and cleaning up things is I decided I was okay, I've got to get some more videos and things featured here while we have all this inventory in, because my model is to keep it all out. So I wouldn't have been able to refilm anything probably until November or December. Right now I can do it. Thinking about what you can do now to get in front of these agents and even your established agents. That was one of the things on my list for the pivoting part is right now is the perfect time for you to show them you do care about them and your business. And that's one of the reasons that when we're opening services back up, it's going to be only to our established agents, because I want them to know that we're going to take care of them no matter what.
Those priority, those preferred agents. Absolutely.
And we're writing notes, and we actually got the note idea from you last year at holiday when you were sending things out and you were writing notes and giving personal phone calls to people, and they were calling in and they were like just so excited, that you did that. And I thought this is the perfect time to send them a handwritten note to say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is this. Because I can send out an email blast all day long, but only half of those get opened.
Yes.
And something in the snail mail, people are checking it right now.
Oh yeah.
They have nothing else.
Undivided attention.
Exactly. It's like walking to the mailbox right now is the ideal time for everything. So
yes, so true. Well, last final words. Give us some encouragement. Give us something that like a good nugget for our listeners.
Get off your ass and do something today that you should have already done. Because,
there you go.
It's one of those, sorry for anybody out there that I offended with that word, but it's that thing is we all need that gentle push sometimes to get up and do something. And it's so much easier to sit there and be like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to watch The View right now. Than to actually do something that's going to benefit you. If it pops in your head and you think you should do it, don't wait until tomorrow, because, who knows? You could be, and it really comes into the lockdown thing, because while we were waiting for the shelter in place thing to happen, every single day I got up and I thought, if it hits today, what am I going to not have done at the warehouse that I'm not going to be able to go back to for a while? And on
Yes.
the day that it did happen here, we had everything in order. We knew there was a big announcement at 2 o'clock that day. We came and we picked up the checkbooks, everything that we would need to stay at home, because we did not think we would still be deemed essential at that point.
Hmm.
That's where you actually need to keep yourself happy and motivated and do a video on it. On if you're deemed not essential tomorrow, what do you need to have done in place to where when you are essential again, it can go back to being just a normal day at the office. And
Yeah,
not
that's so good. That's so good. And the book 5 second rule, literally, if don't wait, count to five, count down 5 seconds and get up and do it. And that's one reason, you talk about video, we know branding, we know this is the opportunity. Get up early, take a shower, get dressed just like you were going to work, and you're more likely to do a video. Do them in the mornings, do them before, you get tired and you start getting derailed with all of the other stuff going on. Like, get up, shoot the videos, be ready to go, and then you feel more accomplished, right?
right. And we've started doing something. We started creating blind stages. We started doing this before the corona thing hit, but now I'm more about it than ever, because Barbara Corcoran was on Good Morning America this morning, and she was talking about that right now inventory, even in some of the bigger cities that are shut down, it was already low.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates are lower than they've ever been. And once this does lift and start back, those interest rates won't jump immediately,
No.
but they are going to still, like, we're going to see a bigger housing boom than we did before, which means that staging companies, we're going to be even busier.
Yes.
So to have some of those smaller, just kind of, traditional floor plan stages ready to go that can be easily modified, you're going to excel over any competition, because they're going to call and say, okay, I have this listing coming. I need to get it on the market by Thursday. Can you do it? Yes. You can go and install 4 or 5 a day because you've already got the hard part done, which is putting that stage together. And
There
so,
you go. Create kits. I love
exactly.
it. Staging kits. That's so great. Well, thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate all that you do. I know that you're also helping us with Summit. And drum roll, we have announced that we're going to be the home staging and real estate.
Real estate. What is
That's
that?
right.
We're changing that R to real estate and involving some other things?
Right? So home staging and real estate. We are actually going to have sessions for realtors. We know many of your, events have been canceled or postponed. Ours is in November. We know we'll be rocking and rolling. We're super excited. Mike Michalowicz. We've got some great speakers that are going to be here. So super excited, right?
It's going to be phenomenal, because everybody's been at home sheltering for that long, and when we started coming up with different ideas, it's like, let's be extra thankful in November, because when November gets here, majority of this should be died out. Travel bans should be lifted. There are some states you can't even leave the state right now.
Yeah.
So the agents are trapped at home, and that, by opening it up and us giving more information for that, I think it's even better. And our speakers generally, they do span across the board. They do cover other industries. It's not just home staging. And I think that's something that realtors haven't realized in the past, is they'll see a big name come across there, but then they're like, well, but is that person going to pertain to me? And every speaker we have either lined up that hasn't been announced, or, they're all something that can help grow a real estate business.
Yeah, you're right. Dual topics. We'll be able to all gain knowledge from that, be able to network and collaborate together. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Oh, goodness.
You guys will be ready to travel to Dallas, huh?
I think, I'm ready to start riding my bike now.
Right?
6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. And still, it's like, wow, just to go somewhere. So we all get a little stir crazy, but, stay ahead. Like
There
I said,
you go. Stay ahead, plan ahead, make it happen.
And even if we went on a total lockdown, if you have 6 stages ready to go out, when it's lifted, you're ready to put those 6 stages in houses.
That's right. Hit the ground running, ready to be going out of the gate as soon as everything is lifted. Be safe, be careful, but don't be fearful, right? Absolutely. Well, thank you again. We will be talking to you soon, and can't wait for hearing about our next big thing that we've got for our businesses. So we'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.